what is your broad take on the results so far and what they mean for the US political scene?
Well, Democrats have clearly defied history and serious headwinds and have posted a much better performance than most folks anticipated. As you mentioned, it looks like they will lose control of the House. The control of the Senate, though, is still very much a coin flip with just a few races outstanding, including a December 6th runoff in the southern state of Georgia. I think one of the things that we're still trying to slice and dice here is just how much did a surge in youth voter turnout shape these elections? Just how much did the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court earlier this year to end federal protections for access to abortion shape this? We know a lot of women registered to vote after that decision, and a lot of them have come out. Ballot initiatives to protect abortion rights did very, very well in these midterms. So we're still slicing and dicing the data, but right now, that's how it looks.
Okay, and looking at the Senate, do you believe, and we stress, of course, the votes are still being counted, there is a chance of the Democrats retaining control of the Senate?
They would need to hold two of the outstanding races. So we have outstanding races in Alaska, but that's going to be a Republican. In Nevada, in Arizona, and in Georgia. The tallies in Nevada and Nevada and Arizona are extremely close. There are still several thousand, in one case, tens of thousands of ballots left. So it really is anyone's election at this point. They would need to win two of the three. So they did very well. They won the runoff in Georgia last time around. It's the same candidate this time around, so they're sort of hopeful about that. But right now, they're really watching very closely the situation in Nevada and Arizona.
Okay, a better than expected result, a much better than expected result for the Democrats and the President Joe Biden. But Olivia, as you say, with the Republicans on track to win the House, there are still big political problems, aren't there, for the president in what they can do there in the House?
Sure. I mean, it basically means that his legislative agenda grinds to a halt. It means that Republicans will control the committees in the House. And that in turn means that they can decide whom to call to testify, what kind of investigations to launch, what kind of oversight proceedings to attempt. We know that they want to look into the withdrawal from Afghanistan. We know they want to look into the federal government's COVID response. We know that they are thinking about putting together a select committee to pour over American policy towards China. We know they want to investigate the president's son, Hunter Biden, for alleged financial improprieties. They will not be advancing Biden's legislative priorities. That probably means an end to any sort of significant action legislatively on issues like the climate crisis. Even if they come away with just a couple of seats, it'll be a really momentous change to the way Washington, D.C. does business. One caveat: the narrower the margin for the Republicans in the House, the more difficult it'll be for Congressman Kevin McCarthy, who's widely thought to be the next speaker. It'll be much harder for him to keep his troops in line, and he will be much more dependent on the what I'll call the Trump wing of the party.
And speaking of Trump, and let's end there, not a great night for the former president.
No, a bad night for the former president on two fronts. One, a lot of the candidates for whom he went on the trail lost. Dr. Oz, for example, in Pennsylvania, lost to Fetterman, as you mentioned earlier. But also his chief rival for the Republican presidential nomination, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, did extremely well, romping to re-election, turning his vote-rich state in much, much redder, much more Republican. And so you've got a sort of a double problem here for Trump, where a lot of folks in the party are blaming him and "quote unquote" candidate quality for their poor showing, and his lead rival came out with the win in the sales. We're all watching very carefully. He's teased out an announcement on November 15th. I'm sure there were a lot of Republicans who would like him to keep quiet until at least through the Georgia runoff.
Yes, we'll see whether the former president can be that disciplined. We'll find out next week, won't we? Olivia Knox, thank you so much for your analysis.
My pleasure.